one. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. I'm your host, Baruti Carl Alexander. This is our 96th episode of the Sourceseeker Hour, and we're going to be talking about sports. We may have some more people joining us, but I have an old veteran here with me, and we're going to just break it down and talk about sports. We're going to talk about what's happening in the NFL. We're going to talk about what's upcoming happening in the NBA, and we're going to talk about a few other current event type of things happening in the sports realm. When we talk about sports, we go in all different kinds of directions, but we want to start talking about what's happening now is with the NFL. And before we get into it, I want to let my brother introduce himself. Brother Dave.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Carl? My name is David Tonsall. I'm right here from Houston, right here from Sunnyside. Grew up 2 doors down from this gentleman right here. And he looked out for me when I was a young man. So definitely we got some interesting topics to talk about today. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show.
Peace and power, peace and power. First thing I want to talk about is the NFL, what's happening now. I guess we're coming up to the 4th game of the season. The Texans, which is our hometown team, I thought, when I saw the first couple of games, I was rooting for them. And I said, hey, people not giving them a chance. And, I see them hustling. I see them scrapping. But then Tyrod got hurt. I think we're going to be happy if they win about 4 or 5 games this year. What you think about that?
No, I agree with you 100%, man. Being a hometown Houston cat, I mean, I'm always pulling for him. When he got hurt, I realized that okay, there's our season, and if we manage to break 500, we'll be doing way better than I gave him credit for. So, but
I think that anybody gave him credit for. I mean, right. Because the Deshaun Watson situation, J.J. Watt is gone. I mean, everybody is gone, and they were still scrapping, but you can only do so much.
These teams nowadays, Carl, if they're not, I mean, they're in a rebuilding stage, and once he got hurt, then okay, now your backbone of what you were going to be rebuilding around, or at least your centerpiece, you took that out the game, and so taking that out the game, we got 2 teams in Texas, and I very rarely cheer Dallas on, but they're my second team because I always want Texas to make it to the playoffs. So at this particular point in time, Houston, hey, I'm pulling for them, and I'm hoping they're doing some real back office, things to get us back into the playoffs,
man. That being said, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Deshaun Watson, what's happening a little bit. Now, I'm just going to give the overview, and the audience who has been with me a while, I've talked about it before, but it basically comes down to when he said he wanted to be traded. I think behind the scenes, they kind of conjured that up. And, they said, well, you're going too high for your britches. And they wanted to bring him back into the box. And that's the result of what's going on. You're talking about a big money. He had just signed a big contract. Now, if he put himself in this situation, he shouldn't have did that, but he was a young man. When we were 20, who's to say we wouldn't have done something like that? So what you say about that, brother?
Hey, look, man, if walls could talk. I mean, he's a young man. I don't know his situation. It really looks bad, but I think it's exactly what you said. Hey, wait a minute. We just gave you this deal, and wisdom doesn't really hit young people. So he had the deal, and one of the things I know he wasn't happy about the situation, but he works for somebody else, and so in working for somebody else, sometimes you got to talk to them, on the record, off the record, behind the scenes, because if any of those things are true, his handlers probably knew those were the things that he was doing. And maybe he didn't think that, hey man, they've been looking out for me. But I don't know. I think it's an ugly situation. I really do think it's an ugly situation. And if it is all a lie, if it is all true, I think the way that the team handled it is pretty bad as well. I think it's some lessons to be learned on both sides of this argument. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, he's under contract. Are they going to sit him on? Do you think they're going to sit him on the bench all year?
If they haven't played him yet, I say yes until he gets traded. Yes. Now, the factor is the FBI, police are looking at it. They looking at extortion, different things of that context. So that's what the bottom line. I don't think he's going to play for the Texans ever again, though.
Okay.
I don't think he's ever going to play for the Texans again. If it's gotten this far, if he was going to play when Tyrod Taylor got hurt, that's when they would have said, okay, we finna do this. But if he didn't play at that time, he's not going to play for ever again for the Texans. It's too much bad blood. It's
Right.
too much bad blood. And, he's still getting paid from his perspective. He's still getting his contract. He's still getting paid. He still go to practice.
Right.
He still go to practice. So, hey, and if he keeps himself in shape, at least by next year, somebody going to sign him. Somebody's going to say, hey, we'll make a trade for him. Now, the Texans been holding out for like 3 number 1 picks or whatever it is. They probably going to come down on that, and he's eventually going to get traded. Probably going to get traded before this year's over with. That being said, my 2 teams are going to surprise you that's going to be in the Super Bowl. Your Cowboys, for one. Yeah. I saw the game when they just played Philadelphia. They got a running. You got to have a real good running game. Ezekiel Elliott and the Ponder boy, they can do real good things. They probably going to get about 1,800 yards between them. 1,800 yards, maybe 2,600 yards, something like that. And then Zach is strong in his bombs, and his arm is strong. And looks like, he recovered real strong from that injury. I don't necessarily see anybody. Of course, you got the old man out there.
See, Brady. That's my, one of the things that, that was one of the things that I'm thinking. My picks, I'm saying Kansas City going to get back there. It's either going to be Kansas City and Dallas, or it's going to be Kansas City and Tampa Bay.
I don't think Kansas City, well, they 1-2 now, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
And teams look like they have figured out how to put real good pressure on Mahomes. Now, if he's truly a magician, like he's kind of shown, he's still going to do it. But
who you picking, Baltimore?
I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
Nick Chubb's team.
Okay, we're going to see. All right.
No, Nick Chubb team. That's Cleveland, though, right? That's Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually thinking about Cincinnati. I'm either Cincinnati or Cleveland.
Okay, so you are surprising me. I'm looking at traditional guys because I don't see if Brady does not, if he don't get hurt, he can play as long as he wants to, as he got a line protecting him. If he can throw the football, and so because
in my opinion, Brady is chancing what happened to Joe Theismann.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He's chancing it because you're gonna have some 300-pound lineman that runs a 4.4 who's gonna get by his man, and he's gonna prove it. Oh man, what you doing out here?
Oh, he been chancing it for the last 4 or 5 years.
I know. But there's somebody out there that's gonna say enough is enough.
Oh
Don't-
yeah,
you embarrassing us, and I don't like that.
Oh, you're right.
Because, unless they can, fix it where none of them get free, I don't see that they can totally fix it. And Father Time is gonna catch up. Now he's a strong dude, but there's some strong, fast dudes out there, man.
Hey, it's not a quicker release out there. So, and that's what's been saving him. He ain't hanging on to the ball, and he will get rid of it. So that's why I sit back and say, hey, he'll play as long as they can protect him. Because he dang sure ain't gonna get outside the pocket. He ain't running nowhere. He either handing off or getting rid of that peel. Because if he hold on to it too long, you're right. And I done seen him get hit pretty good. And I say, oh, the old man ain't gonna get up off the ground one of these times. So you're right. He's playing that risk. He's playing it the long way. And
I think he's gonna give it up when this contract is up, and he gonna say enough is enough, and he probably got enough money. But I don't think he's gonna win it this year. Now, it might be Dallas and Tampa Bay in that last national championship game for the NFC.
Okay.
He gonna get there now. But I'm gonna tell you who my favorite team is in the NFL. The boy at Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That boy is bad.
Oh,
That
no.
boy is bad. Now, he's a little dude. What is he? 5'11", 207?
Right. Right.
So, I don't know if they're going to catch up with him, but as long as he can move around, that Kyler Murray is bad.
It's going to be.
He sold me when he threw that a bomb that last second bomb to Hopkins. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that. Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, look, man, man, we should still have Hopkins. I mean, it's just it's a dang shame sometimes, but guess what? That's the playmaker, and the bottom line, you're right. He may get them there. He may get them there.
I mean, they got what's the boy used to be at Cincinnati? Is it he's with them also. AJ Green or something like that.
Right. Oh no, they got a good squad. They got
of course Hopkins, and they got a good squad. And JJ Watt is on the defense, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna see, but I still think Dallas all around with the offense, defense, and you got to have a running game. You got to have a running game, and that running game that they have is probably one of the best ones that they've had, because they got somebody else just besides Zeke, and
right.
Zeke is tough. Let's talk about basketball a little bit.
Okay.
Shaq say Ben Simmons is not that good. I agree with Shaq, but he can be. He can be if he learns to shoot. But I'm gonna tell you this also. I think Golden State is gonna be back.
Well, that they one of the top 5 out there. They still got the same. They got a good mixture of people, and they got
2 youngsters.
Right?
And they Weissman and Jonathan Kuminga. That rookie.
That's right. That's right.
And so I think they're gonna be back, but the team that's gonna win the most games is Brooklyn in the regular season.
You think so?
Yeah. James Harden is gonna be James Harden this year.
Hey, look, Brooklyn is just like LA though. They got 8 players over 30. They got 8 players over 30 and 5 over 33. So they got a good mix. Now, if all of them can stay healthy, you're right. You are absolutely right. But
Durant, Harden, and Irving, they're not that old, are they?
Yeah, I think
that old.
Yeah, I think Durant just turned that. His birthday was yesterday. So the bottom line is that you got 8 guys over 30, and I think 5 of them over 33, if I'm not mistaken. So they got, they're up there, but
that's right at their prime. Now, LeBron is 37. That's 33 and 37 is a difference. That's a difference.
You're right.
That's a big difference in sports. So I think they're right at their prime, and if they turn Harden loose, you saw what he took the Rockets to the playoffs every year by himself, man.
Right. Hey, yes.
And they turn him loose with Durant, and if Harden don't get you, Durant go get you, and hey, they got 65 wins coming, man.
Hey, I tell you what, that you're right. They got a good squad. They one of the teams to beat, but that's just like LA. You know, I mean, again, we got to see. Uh, they are improving at this point in time. Don't get me wrong. They just hadn't made it yet, as far as I'm concerned. They're gonna be watched, but you got to get past the hump.
I believe LA still cannot beat Phoenix in a 7-game series. That's my opinion. When it comes to a 7-game series, now let's see. They got LeBron. Now we got to see about how Russell Westbrook works with him. No, that's a big difference right there. If his energy pumps them up, you know they can take it to the next level. But he done had how many surgeries on the knee?
Right. But
and he's what, 34, 35 now?
He getting on up there. But they got Carmelo Anthony, you know, and they got
what is he, 37 also?
Right. They got they're an old man squad. I mean, but guess what? Hey, come on, man. We old men. We have the knowledge base, and we got to see if those old legs can keep up.
They remind me of the old Lakers when Shaq, Kobe, then they brought in Karl Malone and Gary Payton. You remember that team?
I remember that team. Yes, sir.
And they got beat 4-0 by the Detroit Pistons.
Right. That's right.
I mean, I think they're going to be good. I pick them for third in the West.
Okay, because they still got Gasol. They got Anthony Davis. I mean, they got a good solid squad, but you know what? They may not have the wheels to keep up because these young guys, they're not playing. They're not playing, but I'm still picking them to be there. You know, they'll lose in the playoffs maybe, but I'm picking them to be there.
But see, Phoenix got those young guys. They got Devin Booker. They got Mikal Bridges, and you know they got and Ayton, DeAndre Ayton.
Right.
He was dominant in the playoffs.
Yes.
I picked them to go right back, but I do pick Utah to win the most games in the West again. They just got to prove it in the playoffs.
Right.
And you got to come to another level when it comes to the playoffs like that and so forth. But we'll see. The Rockets right now, I think they'll have a problem winning 30 games. But if they get somebody like Ben Simmons, they might can move up to 36. You might can get 41 games. Never know. I would love to see them do that. So, sports is something else. It depends on the wheel also.
Right.
It depends on the wheel. Now, everybody got talent. Everybody got talent. When we was out there playing and so forth, and everybody can have a good game, a good day. There were times when, I was playing in the hood and I could hit 10 shots in a row. But the next game, and especially playing football, I had the moves and everything, but the competition gets a little bit tougher. So when I went to Sterling, them big guys out there, I said, no, I don't want to go out there with them. But, sports is something else. And it's a spirit game also. You got to have the will. You got to have the spirit. And that's why a team that's real talented, like Brooklyn was, they had the talent. But Milwaukee, they had the mindset because they said, hey, we're not going down again.
Right. That's right.
And I think they still got something to prove.
Oh, and now they really got something to prove. But, the one thing about what I call veteran players, nothing is wisdom is something else. And so when you get these guys who say, okay, this is how we got beat, this is the thing, and this is how I'll adjust because I did this when I played 5 years ago. Okay, I've seen this guy. There's going to be a real studying of these games with these guys, and the experience that Brooklyn will bring to the table is going to be some adjustment, and they got a good squad. I mean, I'm not, it's going to be interesting because with sports, it's any given Sunday, in football. And so, like you said, you got the talent resting in all these guys because these guys are all pros, and sometimes it's that little edge. What do you say is not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
But it's the chemistry also. And so many times, especially in basketball, you see how one person tries to be the leader and talk, maybe he's not good at that. The thing about Brady, he's able to inspire everybody else, seems like.
Oh, yeah.
And in any organization, it's how you mix and how you work it out together. Because you could be the most talented, but everybody arguing and on the opposite page. And you all don't come together. I mean, in any organization, if you can't come together, you're not going to get the best of your ability.
Oh, yeah. And we experienced that. I mean, Harden got us there many a time, but he just was not enough to, take us over to that point. And that's our reality here in Houston.
I think at the end of the day, Harden was very talented, but he was not the high level of maturity that you might need. I mean, instead of going to the clubs and hanging out, I would buy the club and have the club be in my house or in my, I'd buy it and have select people who come in. Harden could have had the key to the city.
Right.
He could have had the key to the city, and it doesn't matter about Tillman Fertitta is a Trump man.
Right.
Harden could have navigated, and he could have kind of told Tillman Fertitta, hey, this is what we're gonna do with the club. And he didn't see it that way. He wanted to, have things, and he could have had things a certain way, but you got to be smart about it. You got to be smart about it, as well as he was starting to abuse things. He wouldn't come to practice. Westbrook didn't want to even work with him no more at the end of the day because he was not being professional.
Right. He couldn't understand or handle the friction that was there. I mean, and that's one of the things that a mature player, knows how to do. I always think about the Lakers. I mean, think about it, if Shaq wouldn't have been gone and Kobe and Shaq would have played, how many championships could they have won if they got past their own personal, issues and their own problems? And that is almost, that's an issue sometimes within our own communities. And so, you look at that and you realize that, hey, you know what? Maybe he'll see, a lot of times hindsight is 20/20. Now he's in Brooklyn. Maybe he'll see that, hey, wait a minute, because when you have a different purview, you can see, this was good back then. This was really something I could have did back then, but okay, now I can use that experience and take them to a new level.
I think if he had backed up and said, okay, Chris Paul, what he's saying to me, and he's coming from an aspect of trying to win and saying, okay, you need to share a little bit. I don't know what that friction was totally, but they were too close to allow frictions. They were so close. Work it out, get to the championship, and see what you can do. Hey, that was my style. Now, Chris Paul got hurt also. And as he said, that was one of his regrets. He got hurt. But they were so close, man. And that team was.
They were right there.
They were right there.
Well, I've heard some agents say that, hey, man, these guys are prima donnas.
Of course.
And it's not the old way. I mean, look, they back when, Dr. J and them, there were no prima donnas. Even Michael Jordan, there were no prima donnas. Somebody was going to tell it like it was, and if your feelings got hurt, then okay, but you keep on doing it because men should be able to sit down and agree that we disagree.
And they couldn't move around as easily and quickly as they do now.
Oh,
They
definitely.
couldn't say, okay, I don't like this no more. I'm not going to play and I'm going to go to another team.
Right, exactly.
They couldn't do that back then.
They
And
didn't want to do it.
right,
They do it. They maybe they could have. I don't know, but I know they didn't want to do it. Hey, you know what? Let's figure this thing out. That because there are relationships and bonds that are formed on a team instead of this. And don't get me wrong. I just see the league today is okay. Let me try to figure out what's best for right now. We're in the now generation.
right. So they want to get a super team and just jump together and play together.
Yep.
And they wouldn't do that back in the day. Now they started doing it, I guess. Carmelo did it back in the day, but not the same way that. And Carmelo had kind of fallen down. He didn't have. Well, of course, LeBron James was really the first one to really.
The first, right. That's right.
Yeah, he said, I just want to go somewhere else and do what I want to do. So that really started it. And then Kevin Durant and
right.
Harden, of course, and
right.
So that's what it is. But you didn't see that with Magic Johnson. You didn't see that with Larry Bird. You didn't see that with that crew of people. So
no.
Hakeem Olajuwon, we didn't know how great Hakeem was back in the day. I mean, but we do now.
Right.
Now, as well as all the other people sharing with us how tough he was. I mean,
yes.
But 2 championships. Hey, this is the Sourceseeker Hour. I'm talking to my brother, David Tonsall. We're talking about sports, and we got a couple of important questions. Amateur sports has a new rule. Amateur sports, they made it where the players could use their likeness and get paid for their likeness. And they also said that, you have a problem, basically, you could transfer to another school, and I believe you don't lose a year of eligibility. You now you can still have that year of eligibility. How are these 2 things going to change? And do you think it's going to help the SWAC schools?
I tell you what, man, that is the eligibility, the not being able to not have to sit out is, it's going to do, you're going to have some major shuffling. And that may have already happened. I think the cutoff was July 1. Is that July 1, 2022? Because this is all, if I'm correct, this is because of COVID. Is this isn't permanent with the eligibility, or is it permanent? Is that something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
If it's it's like, okay, you can come in, you don't have to sit down, you don't have to sit out with your eligibility now. And man, I would hope that it benefits our school.
I think it's the SWAC schools have been, Prairie View beating Grambling, Prairie View beating TSU. Hey, back in our day, that didn't happen. And across the board, it's just, you got Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
Right.
Certainly we got more attention. We got more television games in the SWAC. And I don't know if you keep up with track, but North Carolina A&T was the biggest thing in track this past year.
Yes. I'm familiar with that.
They were on the mile relay. They set records in the mile relay and everything, and they had 2 Olympians. So I think across the board, that is going, because what's going to happen is a guy, he's 3rd string at NC State. He said, okay, I can go be 1st string North Carolina A&T. A guy at Texas A&M, he's 3rd string, and he might not be feeling that he's going to have a chance. He go to Prairie View. And Prairie View is called Texas A&M at Prairie View now.
No, when did that happen?
I was looking it up. I think it happened in the last couple of years or so.
No, that was something that I knew was shot down several years ago because Prairie View was older. So yeah, man, you got me on that one. I'm gonna have to get off this when we finish. I'm gonna go look that up because I did not
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, look that up. Yeah,
Okay.
look that up. But across the board, how do you think it's gonna, an 18-year-old going to college, and now he can get paid by his, he can get paid certain things more legally. I think, it's fair game. Some are going to mess up, but I think it's a benefit that they need because when you're in college, hey, you need to have your food paid for. You need, just being in them dormitories and things. If you can have some benefit from, and you playing football, you can have your knee shot out. So I
Right.
think they should get paid. I think they should get paid a little bit. And when they did the overview of it, they said, hey, you all have been exploiting these kids for a long time.
Yes.
And I just hope our Black kids see the opportunities even more, and some of them take advantage of it. Now it's a push to go to Black schools today, more so than it has been in the past. I hope that continues, and I hope some of the higher level athletes will go there. Also continue and rise up with the academic standards and so forth. So I think that it's going to be a good thing across the board.
Well, I think it's in line with the times. I mean, we live in a social media platform where if somebody does enough YouTube hits, they can be compensated for it. And so when I look at these young guys and that was one of the things I know it went to the big court is that, hey, these schools are earning millions, and even with the ability to do that, there are going to be some limitations, but what it does do for the young man or the young woman when when their likeness is starting to be followed really, really, oh man, we like this guy, and I don't know how many people it is in America, and they start to be followed, then guess what, these companies are going to start to court them, for tomorrow. I mean, it's going to even go down to high school, Carl. You watch. You get a
I
kid.
thought about that,
Yeah, it's gonna go down. It is gonna get there because believe me, if they're doing it, it's gonna be a small benefit for the kid. But if let's just say let's say Ozarka Water decides to bag one kid and he gets a small stipend. Well, they don't have to just bag one. They can bag 1,000. And if we do this in college, we'll see who succeeds and he goes on to play pro football. Then it's going to be a real benefit for Ozarka Water tomorrow. It's going to be a small benefit for the kid. Because I guarantee you, there are going to be some rules to it. Even though they just said, okay, yeah, you can be paid. I know in high school ball, or you got state rules. So now you got something they're going to approve nationally, but then Texas and Alabama and all the big football state schools, they're going to have their own rules in there. So it's just like anything else. We'll have to watch to see how it's watered down. But I think what you said is very important because how when you're on campus, you need some of these things.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit. So it's going to benefit these children in their college life.
And the biggest thing with that is, I mean, you got all these athletes that got penalized,
Yeah.
and they got scapegoated. Reggie Bush, they took his Heisman, all of this kind of stuff. Ed O'Bannon, he had to file suit, all these different things. And the NCAA will not just have the authority or they won't have that angle to be able to penalize these kids like that and mess up their whole life. So
exactly.
I think from that perspective, it's very important and good. And It's going to be easier for them to get paid, but it goes back to the child's mindset. But anybody, it goes back to their mindset. If you have these things coming in, are you going to be judicious about it? Are you going to be smart about it? Or are you going to let it waste away? That goes for everybody out there. So might as well give them the opportunity. I mean,
That's
you
right.
can't say because they're 18, 19, 20, that they can't handle it. You know, that's what they always used to say and so forth. So I know if it was my son, if my son gets that opportunity, I'm gonna say, hey, let's take that money. I'll help you manage it. So
Exactly. And those deals, like I said, they'll start off small, but these companies, they'll become long-term deals for the kids that go on and make it into professional sports. You know, you think about kids that go into the Olympics. You know, it's going to be a blessing for both. I mean, it's a win-win. The people who will go out and sponsor some of these children, you know, because it's a real limited field when you have to go to these athletes. But what it will do, I'll tell you what it's going to do from a marketing perspective. You know, hey, somebody who got we got a $75 million deal with Kevin Durant or whoever. Well, guess what? Those deals won't be as big anymore because it's going to spread the pot, you know, because you're going to be taking a risk on some of these youngsters, but you're also going to be benefiting them in getting them, you know, something for school, you know, because once again, when you see that the NCAA or a school makes, you know, $500 million on the athletic program and the kid is penalized because he took a laptop computer, it just
that
never
don't
really,
make sense.
it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. And I'm glad they changed that. And maybe it can't be totally equitable, but you know, yes, they are getting a college degree or they have the opportunity to get one, but they still need some resources. I know, you know, because when you go into college, you have so many things going on. I know when we was in Holly Hall, we could have used some help.
Oh, exactly.
Yes, we could have used some help, and my son could use some help now, and so forth. So there's so many things, and I'm glad that they changed that. I just hope that our Black kids take these opportunities, not just in athletics, but going back to young people. We live in a instant gratification mindset because you got TV, you got social media, you got all of these particular things, and it's hard for them to figure things out and it's so many things coming at them, and
Yes.
it's hard, and it's hard for them to even know which way they're supposed to go. We got so many things. Sometimes they even get confused about which identity they're supposed to go. I'm going into the area of transgender. And from the aspect of sports, I do not believe it's fair. Now, should there have a carve out of a sports area for the transgender? That's another question, if there is enough of them. But I don't think it's fair for them to compete. A girl who used to be a boy certainly has a stronger way than a female. I just say from that perspective. I don't know where that's going to go, but I believe that smarter or minds, they may find a carve out or something, but I just don't think that aspect is fair. Now, I know the Olympic Committee they trying to figure that out and come up with what's going to be fair in that. And, you know, those type of things may go to Supreme Court or World Court or something else. We'll see. But
But
go ahead.
no, that was one of the things that, you know, that particular topic, I had never looked into it. And I was really shocked that in 2011, the National Collegiate Athletic Association actually published some NCAA inclusion rules for transgender athletes. I was like, wow, 2011. I don't think it really made the public eye until after that. So it was something. But one of the things.
Well, right here in Houston about the bathroom,
Yes.
the bathroom controversy.
Yes,
the
I remember.
bathroom rule and so forth that says the transgenders could go to the ladies' bathroom and so forth. I don't know where that stands now, but it's not an isolated question. It's not an isolated thing. Like, you were surprised it happened in 2011. It's happened before. And
Right.
working in education, it comes up sometime. So I don't know where it's going to go, but it is not that many in sports, but there are enough where it has been a discussion. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. We are almost at the end of our show, and I want to thank my brother David for the conversation that we've had. Now, I want to go back and we want to talk about who our Super Bowl people are. I'm saying it's going to be one of those Ohio teams in the AFC. And I'm going to say the Cowboys, but if I got to choose a second team, I'm going to sneak and say the Cardinals.
Okay.
So pick two teams in both sides. You said,
look,
I said,
I'm putting Kansas City back in there, and I'm saying the Dallas Cowboys. But no, I'm saying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if not Tampa Bay, it's going to be Kansas City and Dallas. Right.
Okay, if not Kansas City, who's your other team in the AFC?
Baltimore.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say that. Hey, I mean, that boy is talented, and if he gets it together with the running and the passing, yeah, they're gonna be unstoppable. And he's looked like he got the passing together this year.
Right.
So
look, as a matter of fact, if those are my four teams, because he probably, if Kansas City doesn't get it together, and I always look at them, I dive them at first, but I realized that, hey, you know what, they actually got a good squad, and so we're gonna see. But since I can't say Houston, I gotta have a Texas team there. So Dallas and Dak, Dak looks, he looks fantastic.
He looks strong. He looks very strong
fantastic.
and powerful. Yeah. Looked like, he was back at Mississippi State playing against, the Southeastern Conference or whatever conference that is. So, hey, we'll see, man. But I want to say thank you. And we right at the end of our show. And if somebody want to talk sports with you and come on the air or contact you or talk sports, how can they contact you?
Hey, man, it's easy enough. I'm at DLASNOT@comcast.net. Just shoot me an email and we'll get together for sure.
And also, I want to mention we have a sports site, Sunnyside Sports Take with Jeff Walker. If you want to talk sports on Facebook at any time, we talk all the time. Every aspect, talk sports, and come on there and we'll talk about it. This is the Sourceseeker Hour, our 96th episode. I want to say thank you again to Brother David, and we're going to finish up, and we're going to see you next week. We thank you, and we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep coming to you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Peace and power.